how are you this morning?
Good morning, Lisa. I am doing fabulous.
Yes, you are. And look at how in sync we are today. We didn't even call each other and say, wear your maroonish, purplish coat. But somehow we just showed up looking perfectly in sync. So that's an awesome thing to do.
It is, and what a great photo opportunity this will be because we do coordinate so well.
Yeah, don't worry. For my upcoming guests, I'm not going to make you color coordinate with me, just in case. So I'm just so excited to, bring another one of my featured experts from the Employee Retention Summit, which is coming up November 9th to 11th. And Mj Callaway and I have been friends for even before we knew that we were going to end up friends.
Yes.
We met way back in the day, actually at a conference together where it was like, oh, she's from Pennsylvania, I'm from Cleveland, we should be friends. And then our paths just kept crossing. So it's been a cool journey.
It has been. And think about it. We actually met on the other coast. We met on the West Coast. We met in California. How crazy is that?
Right. Exactly. So it's just kind of funny, the twists and turns that life takes. And, the topic that you're actually going to be talking on at the summit really helps us with some of those twists and turns because your area of specialty is resilience. And again, we think about manufacturing, we think about employee retention. And so what in the world does resilience have to do with that, for goodness sake?
Actually, it's a key component, especially in manufacturing, because let's face it, you have employees who have to do a very focused job if they're on a line. And if one thing goes wrong, think about all of the materials that are lost, the production that is down, the profits that are lost. So being resilient actually is someone who's resilient is flexible, friendly, so great teamwork, flexible that they're able to adapt to change, they're focused, and every component within manufacturing, you need to be focused, from the top all the way down. And then the last one is fast. When you're focused, you're able to produce more, so which is great for profits.
Right. Well, and I think about that, particularly we're in these times of COVID, and I will tell you, having to come back and just be resilient over and over and over again, because none of us on the planet thought that this pandemic would last as long as it has. As a matter of fact, I kind of crack myself up every day because I'm looking at my follow-ups, and on my follow-ups, I'll turn to one and it says, follow up post-COVID, follow up after the craziness, and I have it in September and October, because thinking that, oh yeah, this is going to be done by June, July, August, at the latest, for goodness sake. So I think just coming back to that, getting through it and the confidence, the resilience to do that, I think helps us all.
It definitely does. Because whenever we are resilient, we're able to adapt to change. We're able to shift. When we're resilient, we don't complain. So let me back up and let me explain what resilient people do. So resilient people are the ones who can see a bigger picture. And let's face it, we're talking about COVID. So with COVID, the ones who are resilient are the ones who can see, okay, wearing a mask is going to be better for everybody, not only me, but everybody. When we go through the zones and the mandates where we can only have 50% of people, in a store or a restaurant, or 25%, it's because we're protecting others. So we can see a bigger picture. So, and those who are not resilient will be the ones who will complain more, who are stuck in the problem, who can't see that bigger picture.
Yeah.
And Lisa, you can probably tell because gratitude, being grateful is part of being resilient. So I am sure when you're in a conversation with people and you can see someone and you're talking about changing and adding in more gratitude, and you see people that are interested, all of a sudden, their interest is piqued. And then others who they hear you and they hear the word change or they hear grateful, and then it's like the air went out of the balloon.
Right.
And
Well,
you can instantly tell.
yeah, well, exactly, because that's really what a lot of my programs have shifted to lately is still, employee engagement in times of crisis, finding gratitude, in troubled times, whatever it is, because, you have to look for the gifts of COVID. And when you think about the gifts and your whole mindset, which falls again right into resilience, because if I can find the good, and mind you, I will share this all day long, that there are lots of days, yesterday was one of them, that you just want to curl up in a little ball and wait for 2020 to be over. I just had my great niece just came into the world, and she was 12 days late. And I said, that's because she's been putting off 2020 as long as she possibly could. But it's in almost forcing yourself. So, you think about resilience. Is it something that you can kind of, fake it till you make it? Or what are some of the tips that you have found to kind of get yourself out of just the crud of the moment and be able to find that good so that you can move on and be resilient?
The one thing that I suggest, and some people are more resilient than others, and life has made some people more resilient than others. And I will say I fall into that category, being a 2-time survivor in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So with it, you can implement a few little steps. The one technique that I always share, it doesn't matter if it is a sales program I'm giving or a resilient program, and it is called Flip It. And it is taking, when you hear that negative comment or that head trash going on inside your head, stop immediately and then grab a piece of paper, and then the left column and put a line down the middle of the paper, and the left side write down that negative comment, and then in the right side flip it. How can you turn that into a positive? So that's one technique. Another one is, if you are stuck in the problem, stop immediately thinking about the problem and ask yourself a question. Ask, what can I do right now with what I have? And that engages our brain now into a solution. So we're now being proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah.
Those are 2 easy techniques that anybody can implement immediately.
Well, and it's so funny. I mean, and we really didn't get into kind of your history in our interview for the summit, but my favorite story, MJ just said she's a 2-time cancer survivor. She really is one of the most resilient people I know. But what was it? It was something like she had ports in, and she had a client appointment, and she got on the bus and went. So you just tell the story, because it is probably my favorite story. And for all of you that are out there saying, oh, I got nothing, it's like, yeah, if MJ can do this, you can do this.
I had just had a major surgery. So it was a surgery that lasted longer than it was supposed to. It was a 10-hour surgery. I was supposed to be in the hospital for 4 to 5 days, but I was determined. So I got into, so it's a little bit longer. I got into the room at 11:45 on a Wednesday, and Friday morning I was released. So I was determined that I was going to bounce up. I call it bounce up. So 2 weeks later, I had a client meeting, and I was not going to cancel it. And I came home from the hospital with, and I hope my children are not listening to this, because I was staying with my son and daughter-in-law, who was actually taking care of me. I had 4 drains. four drains, and I bought a shrug ahead of time that was longer. It covered. I pinned everything to my blouse and to my slacks, and I put the shrug on, and I had an Uber Uber picked me up, dropped me off at the client's. I had the meeting. Unfortunately, it was a meeting with a president. So I did